Hi, I'm Kim Janna.
And I'm Evada Peron.
And we're
just a couple of jammers.
Okay. Today we want to talk about getting benched. Or not making the roster.
Yeah.
Either way.
That
both
sounds
fun.
better. It happens.
You know what? I can go back to my first time on my house team, the Bad Reputations, when I didn't make the roster, because it's a fun story and it's embarrassing. My first time not making... Actually, I hadn't made the roster ever, so I didn't know what it felt like to make the roster, but I think it's exciting to talk about the fact that...
So was it your first game on that team?
Yeah, okay. I was terrible. I shouldn't have made the roster.
But you were expecting there was a potential that this was going to be a game you were going to...
No.
Oh.
No, I didn't expect to make the roster, but I didn't know what what the protocol was when you're not on the roster.
Okay.
So I showed up in uniform and into the locker room, which was fine, but then expected that I'd be skating out not only for the warm up but in the intro. And Roller Girl, thank you, Roller Girl, God bless you, was very sweet and had to pull me aside after I did my makeup and I had my uniform on and had to be like, oh honey, you don't get to skate in the intro, I'm sorry.
Too many bodies on the track.
Yeah.
Was there like a planned intro? Was it like a...
Oh yeah, it was way back in the day of the well executed
performance derby.
Performance derby. So yeah,
so you'd learned the routine and everything?
Well, I learned that if you're not on the roster, you're not skating on
anything.
No, you're not.
Sometimes you do.
Sometimes, just not that way. Basically, find out,
Just make
a quick phone call.
Just be like, okay, so what am I doing?
Yeah.
Am I filling up water bottles?
Anything.
Making
Find
a poster?
A job. Yeah.
Okay, so my story is...
hilarious.
Not very good. So I had been skating on a couple of teams, and this was the first season I'd made the All-Stars, and was, I think, probably one of the first tournaments that I'd ever been in, which was at the Big O. And I was very excited.
Mm-hmm.
But it had been made clear far in advance that we had more than enough skaters to fulfill a roster and that we would be substituting in for each of the games. But this was at a time where I was just,
getting started in this world.
I was just very positive and hopeful that, this would never happen to me, ever, ever, ever. That I would skate in everything for the rest of my life. And so I skated the first game, or was it? No, it wasn't even.
I'm trying to think, because I also didn't skate one game with Flower.
It was the next game. So this was the first game of the tournament.
Yeah, you set the bar high.
It was the first game of our tournament, and I can't even remember what team we were playing because this is how important it was. But at the time, and so our coach read out we decided as a team, I guess, that we were going to do it right before the game.
Yeah.
So we all geared up. We all had our uniforms on. I had the nervous stomach stuff all morning and everything, expecting okay, this is my big game with the team, and I'm not gonna let them down and all that sort of stuff. And then they read the roster, and
you sure weren't on it
beginning to end. And
nope.
I was like,
come again.
Looked around.
Excuse me.
Did I miss it? What's my name? What is it? Vaders? Do you just go by last name? So anyways, needless to say, it kind of hit me like a tidal wave, and I was like, oh, I'm not playing. And I did not take it well and not handle it the way you should handle. This is why we're telling this story. This is why we're sharing this video, is because you learn from those mistakes. And if you've never had this happen to you, may this be something that you can carry with you in that moment, that it's not the best feeling, but also this is your opportunity to show your team what a team player you are, how much trust and faith you have in your coach and in your team, and not feel like everyone's betrayed you and they're out to get you and ruin your life. Which is where
your tires are not going to be slashed in the parking lot after the game.
So me and Kim look back at this story a lot and laugh and stuff because
we're just a couple jammers.
It was so terrible.
We give each other feedback.
So, and she came off and she was trying to be very supportive to me because she was rostered. And at halftime, I was just like, it was a one-woman pity party happening on the stands. And so she came over at halftime to be like, like, hey, do you have any feedback for me? Because I was supposed to be watching and providing input to my team as a teammate should. You can just say what I said.
So her feedback was, here's my feedback. You want some feedback? I should be playing. That's my feedback. And I was like, okay. And I skated away.
Oh, God.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anyways, it was not my highest, proudest, best moment.
No,
as
we laugh now.
Or a friend, or a teammate, or as a human being. But
we both have a very deep sense of humor. I know you thought I was going to say pride, but humor. We have a big sense of humor.
So, anyways, we talked a little further post game, and Kim was very supportive, and I did feel like a giant
bag of dicks.
But luckily, she saw past the giant bag of dicks and gave me an opportunity to kind of like overcome that moment. And ever since then, if I get sat for anything at any time, you can sit me for a game. You can sit me for like the lineup at the grocery store. You can bench me like
anything.
You can bench me anytime, anywhere, and I'm gonna be like, "Yep, you made the right call. You know what you're talking about." And now I'm gonna be here, and I'm gonna watch,
Absolutely.
and I'm gonna support, and I'm gonna tell everyone what I'm seeing, and be the eyes on the track that maybe my teammates can't be at that time. So
absolutely. And before we end off, let's talk about the fact that like it doesn't ever feel better, right? Like
no.
It's always going to feel shitty. This is not to say that eventually, not making the roster gets easier. I think it's always going to be equally as shitty in terms of how you feel. You just learn to handle it better.
Yeah. And you don't ever feel better about it by pouting about it. Like it's not
no.
it never makes you feel like, yes, that made everything feel better. And there's always going to be a chance that you're going to be sad. I was sad at the World Cup.
Yes.
Twice, I think. So, and because of that horrific behavior that I had a few years earlier, I feel like I took it like a champ, and I was there for the team, and it was kind of fun sometimes to just be a supportive teammate on the side. So
yeah, just to watch.
But you always want to be out there.
You always want to be out there, and and you'll go through in your head like, I'm not being played because I'm not good enough, but then you'll switch over to no, they're just saving me for the important game.
Yeah.
So that's the game you're going to get.
There's going to be another game that I'm going to be playing that's going to be like...
Clearly, they don't want me wasting my time out there. They want their number one player in top shape for the big game. So if that's what you need to tell yourself, go ahead and tell yourself that.
And sometimes I tell myself, like, it's sort of like being a fashion model, and sometimes there's games where you're just not the right fit. They're just not they're not what you need at that time. They sometimes are looking for brunettes, and sometimes they're looking for blondes, sometimes they're looking for little tiny jammers, sometimes they're looking for big strong jammers, people that can jump around, people that can do this or that. So I'm just like, I'm just not the type. Sometimes
they want very attractive jammers. These guys. Let's say there's a big photo op, they want the most good looking jammers. They'll usually call them these two guys right here.
Yeah.
Okay, well I think that's what we wanted to say about being benched. So
I hope you enjoyed the story.
Yeah, handle it with
Don't forget about
Yeah. And if after watching this video you still act like a big bag of dicks, just make sure you clean up that bag and
it's a heavy bag to carry.
Dicks are heavy.
So if you're gonna be a big bag of dicks, just be prepared. You're gonna be carrying that around with you the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, for sure.
Your team's not gonna help you out with that.
Okay, so we're signing off. I'm Kim Janna.
Evada Peron.
We're # just a couple of jammers.